Falls, and I work for the Athens Institute for Education and Research, which is a world association for academics and researchers. I'd like to welcome you to Adner's interview series, where we interview the participants which attend our many conferences and now to present their work. Today I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Jeffery Mangram, who is an associate professor at Syracuse University, USA. Hello, Dr. Mangram.
Hello.
Welcome to Athens.
Thank you for having me.
So I would like to begin with asking you to give us a brief academic introduction of yourself.
I'm a social studies professor at Syracuse University. I'm an associate professor. I've been at Syracuse University about 18 years.
Okay. So what's your major current area of research?
Right now I'm looking at media education and how once you teach high school students to engage critically with media and media studies using what's called a cultural studies approach, I'm interested in seeing how the students respond and what behavioral shifts, if any, do we see once the students learn these critical ideas.
Okay, so what did you present at the conference?
I presented a paper called Peeping Through the Keyhole. Social studies, cultural studies, and the production or the construction of the subject. So in this paper we were looking at subjectivity. So I teach my students this concept called subjectivity, meaning all the kind of forces that make us think who we are. When I make them aware of those forces, what changes occur in them, if any. When they start understanding things like ideology, they start understanding the power of media in shaping the representations that they've come to believe. And so I was looking at how students talked about it, framed it, and then how did they change their behaviors in relation to understanding these concepts as it relates to media.
Okay, so how did it change their behaviors?
Three things we noticed. Number one, the students reacted to what I call disruption of normalcy. Number one, they realized that the way they were kind of living their lives in this kind of automatic way of being, it was disrupted, that they started noticing things that they hadn't noticed before because now they had these kind of ideological and theoretical lenses, frameworks that I kind of taught them, and they began to see the world differently. Now let me be clear on this. The world hadn't changed. What they began seeing within the world, their interpretations of the world shifted. Number two, because their world shifted, they began talking about or questioning the reality that they thought was, okay? And so they became what I call cultural producers of knowledge, meaning that they started asking kind of fundamental questions about why things are the way they are. And they wanted to share this kind of questioning with not only their friends, but their family, and eventually they took these ideas back to their schools, asking why were things structured the way they were. And that was one of the goals of actually teaching them these skill sets.
Okay, interesting. So tell us about the status of the compulsory and higher education in the U.S. and what advantages do you see and what disadvantages?
First of all, that's a really big question. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, true.
Let me see. Here's a number of things that are going on in the U.S. I can only speak to the U.S. context.
Yeah.
Right. Right now, we're starting to see, well, it's a historical thing, but there's this inequity in educational resources, and inequity in teachers, inequity of the way things are taught in the United States. We're trying to find a way to address that gap, so to speak. Okay, and we're talking now about an opportunity resource gap, not much so an academic gap. In the United States, we are talking about this thing called the achievement gap, but we're starting to realize that the achievement gap is occurring because of historical forces again. And those historical forces have been intentional, have been based on resources again, what teachers get into these schools, and who lives in certain area codes or zip codes. And tragically, if you live in a certain zip code, we can predict how you will do in the United States, and we're trying to change that. Secondly, there's the struggle going on right now about the public schools versus supposedly charter schools. And we're trying to understand, how better to educate all of our youngsters. And right now there's this discourse about charter schools, privatization of public education and so on and so forth. So there's this tension that's emerging and arising over that. We're trying to make sense of that. And finally, the idea of globalization now is truly sinking in. And we're attempting to try to find ways to actually retool our educative systems so that we can better train our young people for the future that globalization is going to bring. And right now there's this kind of really political struggle going on as to, do we engage globalization or do we kind of shrink back from globalization? And I think it's a false dichotomy. I think is, and globalization is just kind of, is inherent now in who we are and what the world is. And so we've got to begin trying to find ways to engage globalization in all of these complex, multifaceted ways, if that makes some sense.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay, thank you. So how were you introduced to Adler, and what made you attend the conference?
Number one, I attended the conference because I wanted to see Athens, Greece.
It's your first time?
This is my first time in Athens. Beautiful city, beautiful people. I'm really enjoying myself. But again, the National Council for the Social Studies has a listserv, and on the listserv, the conference came up, and I explored it and understood this is the 15th iteration or the 15th year of the conference, and I wanted to experience it and share some of my ideas here in Athens.
Okay,
Awesome.
thanks very much.
Hey, thank you.